everybody? Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. Today we're coming with you a double dose of the Prime. First, we're going to bring you our fantasy football ranking show. Where CEO of Prime Sports World, Mr. Israel Rivera, should be joining me here momentarily. And then me and TJ Hopkins are going to do our final prediction show for the NBA season. I know it got kicked off yesterday. I know there are some games going on now. But we're going to be predicting who's going to take home every single award in the NBA. And then we're going to talk about who we think is going to host up the Larry O'Brien Trophy. That is going to be a fun show. And that show starts as soon as this show ends. But yeah, continue checking us out. We go live basically every single day. So if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, you've come to the right place. Prime Sports World goes live every single day, bringing the most up-to-date content. I've also shared the StreamYard link into all of the places, including the main Prime Sports World Facebook page. So please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. And if you can jump over onto that Facebook page, you're also Prime Sports World on Facebook. We are trying to build a bigger audience on the Facebook page. So please continue checking us out. We really do appreciate the followership, and we really do appreciate the likes and the views. Viewership is up over the last month from where it was before. So we do just appreciate everybody just continue checking us out at Prime Sports World. And before we get into the ranking show, as long as we're waiting for Mr. Israel Rivera to jump into the show, let's talk a little bit about some players you should probably add if you're looking for some players to add in fantasy football for this week. 1 second. Oh, sorry. I got a little turn around here. Hold on. If you're looking for a guy to add, another guy to add is Wan'Dale Robinson, wide receiver for the New York Giants. Has played particularly well for them over the last couple weeks. That would be a guy I would be looking to add if I was a fantasy owner at this point. Latavius Murray. Latavius Murray is somebody I would definitely add if he's available still after waivers have cleared. It's pretty obvious that he's going to be the workhorse running back going forward. That's the guy I would definitely add if I was looking at people to add for Kenyon Drake. The Drake, as I like to call him, the running back for the Baltimore Ravens. He's been a good production. J.K. Dobbins seems to be dealing with some sort of knee injury. Gus Edwards is still not back on this team. So Kenyon Drake looks to be the lead back there for the loss. For the Baltimore Ravens in the foreseeable future. Rondale Moore, wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals. Marquez Brown has been injured and will miss next 6 games. It's not the entire season as we first reported, but Rondale Moore shows an uptick in production. I know they traded for Robbie Anderson. I know DeAndre Hopkins is coming back, but I do think Rondale Moore will have a role in this offense no matter what happens. Deion Jackson, as long as Jonathan Taylor continues to miss time, Deion Jackson should be a running back you should own as a streaming option for sure. Caleb Huntley appears to be the starting running back as long as Cordell Patterson continues to be out for the Atlanta Falcons. And then I mentioned, Wan'Dale Robinson, 3 catches on 4 of his targets last week for 37 yards and a touchdown. This is wide receiver core that's pretty banged up there for the Giants. He could easily emerge as the number 1. Alec Pierce, another wide receiver, emerging as the number 2 as a pass-happy offense as long as Jonathan Taylor continues to be out. He caught 3 of 7 targets for 49 yards and a touchdown against the Jaguars. This week 7 matchup against the Titans should be favorable for him as he is that secondary is not really all that good. And if you're looking for somebody to fill up that tight end board, Greg Dulcich, the tight end out of Broncos, played his first career game in the NFL, got his first career touchdown, had 2 of 3 targets for 44 yards and a tutty. So he could be somebody you look to grab. Tre'Quan Swift, wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints, caught all 3 targets for 43 yards and a touchdown. I'd rather have him, as long as Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, and Jarvis Landry are all out for the time being, I'd rather have Tre'Quan Smith over Marquez Callaway. I think the upside there is higher. Tyquan Thornton for the wide receiver for the Patriots. This is a guy who also gives you the air on the ground and through the air, so he was pretty valuable there in fantasy. Robbie Anderson, I know he just got traded to the Arizona Cardinals. I would be cautious about adding him, but he could be somebody you grab and just kind of throw into your lineup if you need somebody. Mike Boone, the running back, the way running back Broncos touches are going to shake out there. Not really sure. So those are another guy you could look to grab if you're looking for somebody that you could stream for Mike Boone. Some guys you could probably drop if you're still holding on to. You could probably drop James Cook. You could probably drop Jontrell Hilliard. You could probably drop Chase Edmonds potentially because he hasn't been all that good, even though he is getting the touchdowns there. You could probably drop Elijah Moore, Nelson Aguilar, Noah Brown. If you're holding on to any of those guys, you probably can be safe to drop those guys in all of your fantasy, all formats as well. Devontae Parker, I wouldn't own on any of these guys. And also, welcome into the show, CEO of Prime Sports, Israel Rivera. Welcome to the show, man. How are you?
What's going on, guys? Man, just got in, man. ready to knock this out. Ready to knock this out. Week
Yeah,
7.
so let's get right into it. Let's start with the quarterback rankings. I'm going to go first. My first quarterback ranking is the same as yours, shockingly. I got Justin Herbert as my number 1 quarterback. I think he's got a really favorable matchup there. I think you look for him to have a big production. 2, Joe Burrow. 3, Lamar Jackson. 4, Patrick Mahomes. 5, Tom Brady. 6, Kyler Murray. 7, Dak Prescott. Look for Dak Prescott to have a big bounce back game against the Detroit Lions. I'm not as high as him as you are, but I am still pretty high on Dak Prescott. 8, Derek Carr. 9, Geno Smith. 10, Matt Ryan. As long as Jonathan Taylor continues to be out for the Indianapolis Colts, which is seeming like he probably should come back in this game, but it's still kind of up in the air. Matt Ryan should be throwing the football a lot in this offense as long as John Taylor remains out. And then by outside looking in, I got Trevor Lawrence. Pretty favorable matchup there. He should have a good game there. Daniel Jones for the New York Giants. I think if you're looking for a streaming option for this week, I think Daniel Jones could be one of the, like if you're a Kirk Cousins owner, or if you're a Jalen Hurts owner like I am as well, Daniel Jones could be one of those guys as a stopgap for you. 3, Justin Fields in my DraftKings, 5,400, Mr. Matthew Ryan, Matty Ice. 5,400 on DraftKings is really cheap for a guy who should be throwing the football a lot in this game, especially against the Tennessee Titans secondary. That's not all that good.
Yeah, they'll probably be down. I don't think Jonathan Taylor will be playing in this game. So lack of the running game, lack of confidence in it. Definitely Matt Ryan shouldn't be dropping back 58 times. I don't agree with that. But
he will be
fantasy owners.
He will be.
Yeah. He will definitely be. Yeah, they'll probably be down in this game on the road in Tennessee.
No, I think they're going to win that game.
You think they're going to win? Yeah,
I think it could be a low-scoring game.
One thing about Indy this year is that you can bet on this. Matt Ryan has been, the only he's been the main reason why they make a lot of their comebacks.
True.
Yeah,
he's the straw. He's the straw that stirs that drink. That's for damn
sure. Yeah, absolutely, he is. So yeah, my number 1 is Justin Herbert. He has a great matchup going up against Seattle. They've given up a play. I don't know what happened last week with Kyler Murray. That offense is just abysmal. But this week, Justin Herbert should be able to take advantage of that woolly Seattle defense. And then number 2, I got Lamar Jackson. Number 3, Pat Mahomes. Number 4, Dak Prescott. I'm going to tell you why I got Dak Prescott a little high on my list, because Detroit is just not good defensively. They're probably just as bad as Seattle, if not worse, defensively. And they give up a lot of points to fantasy quarterbacks. And I don't see that trend. I don't see that going away in this game. Now, offensively, yeah, they're solid, right? One of the tops in the league, but defensively, they're absolutely horrible. So I think Dak Prescott will take advantage of them. Another guy that we'll talk about later, like Michael Gallup, will probably, benefit. CeeDee Lamb will definitely benefit off of having Dak Prescott back and Ezekiel Elliott as well. And then number 4, I got number 5, I got Tom Brady. Number 6, Joe Burrow. Number 7, Geno Smith. I think this LA Chargers defense isn't that good either. So I expect Geno Smith to play well at home as well.
Ask the Denver Broncos about that Charger defense. I mean, it might have a different story.
Yeah. They're not at home. They're playing in
this game.
Yeah. And then number 8, I got Kyler Murray. Number 9, Derrick Henry. Number 10, Trevor Lawrence. I like the rushing touchdowns that we're getting out of Trevor Lawrence. Definitely in the red zone. He's definitely a threat. I expect him to be some of the league leaders at the quarterback position in rushing touchdowns.
Especially the Trevor Lawrence thing, especially if you're a guy that owns Jalen Hurts or Kirk Cousins for this week and you need somebody to stream. I think Trevor Lawrence is a pretty good option.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I'm outside looking in. I got Matt Ryan, Aaron Rodgers, and Marcus Mariota. Aaron Rodgers, just to say, going up against Washington, that defense isn't so good, but we were saying, we were saying that the Jets and the Giants defense, wasn't there yet, and they proved us wrong. Aaron Rodgers had some pretty mediocre outputs there. I think we'll expect a little bit more out of him this week, going up against a team that doesn't really have much to offer defensively. Marcus Mariota, he's just been playing well so far this season. It might be a little challenge on the road in Cincinnati, but I think Marcus Mariota gives you that threat in the red zone to at least get a rushing touchdown.
I think the great thing about Marcus Mariota in most formats is that his ceiling is his floor is just extremely high. Like he's not gonna. I don't think he's not gonna kill you if you start Marcus Mariota as your quarterback. Like you should be getting 15 points out of him no matter what happens.
Right. Yeah. And then my sneaky and FanDuel. My sneaky and FanDuel. Until the Packers defense shows up, I think any quarterback that goes against them has a chance to put up some type of fantasy outputs. And look no other than give me a 6-pack of Heineken's Taylor Heineke, baby. He's cheap at 6,600. I'll swing for the fences to see he's one game, maybe two, but I think one game Taylor Heineke can give you a good fantasy game against the Packers. I think he'll be competitive. I think he'll have a couple touchdowns. And at 6,600 in FanDuel, it's cheap, and you can go put your money elsewhere in different positions. But I'd swing for the fences for Taylor Heineke if I was you.
From the quarterback position, let's talk about your running backs as we get into running back rankings here in the Prime Sports World Fantasy Show.
Yeah, running backs. Number 1, Saquon Barkley. He's just been awesome this year. Him and Nick Chubb. Number 2, Austin Eckler. It's got a great matchup going up against Seattle. He's been coming along for the last 3 weeks. He's got a touchdown the last 3 weeks. So Austin Eckler's been money.
I think the other thing about Austin Eckler that you got to like as a fantasy owner, nobody else is taking those touches from him. Even though he hasn't been effective at all really on the ground. At least last week he wasn't really. Nobody else is taking touches from him. Like he's the only running back there that matters in Los Angeles.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely against a team like Seattle, who gives up a lot of yards to literally everybody, except last week. I don't know what the hell happened. Austin Eckler has immense fantasy value. And number 4, Leonard Fournette. Leonard Tutty. Going up against a Carolina team that's in shambles right now. But Leonard Fournette has played really well since that abysmal game. What was it, a couple weeks ago where he had like 4 carries.
Yeah.
And Leonard Fournette's got how many touchdowns he's got? Probably like 4 in the last couple games. So let
me take a look at
3-4 touchdowns, something like that. So Leonard Fournette's a guy that he's been showing us a lot in the passing game as well. Tom Brady's been looking for him a lot in the flat, especially in the red zone. Definitely been a reliable target for Tom Brady there in the red zone. And then at number 5, Alvin Kamara. Number 6, I got Christian McCaffrey. You know what? As much crap as I talked about Christian McCaffrey, I mean, he's quietly every game. I mean, he's been showing, 100, 125, 150 scrimmage yards, something like that. Last week, he was pretty much quiet until he busts out a big run, to kind of put you a little bit over the top. Then that's when it's worth owning Christian McCaffrey, right? But that offense is just abysmal right now. They're going up against one of the best defenses in the league. And then at number 7, Derrick Henry. Lord, I wish I could have Derrick Henry higher. I mean, all these other running backs just have better matchups, in my opinion. That's why I don't got Derrick Henry higher, but I still think Derrick Henry has top 10 value. Then number 8, Kenneth Walker. He's just showing to be like one of the better rookie running backs. Him and Breece Hall. I said it early in the season. I think Kenneth Walker is going to be money. He's the only guy now that Rashad Penny's down. So own Kenneth Walker. And I have a guy in one league, David, that just is just nonstop trade requests for Kenneth Walker. He just won't stop trying to send me trade requests for Kenneth Walker. That's how much of a hot commodity he is in that league.
I think just real quick on Kenneth Walker. I do think that DJ Dallas is going to eat some of his passing down carries on third downs a little bit. Just look for. I would be concerned about DJ Dallas.
Until I see it one week. Until I see it like consistently, then I'll be worried. But I think Kenneth Walker's the main man out there in Seattle. And then at number 9, Ramondre Stevenson. The Patriots are a run first team with Mac Jones in or out. Doesn't matter. He doesn't have many weapons to throw to. They have to run the football first. And then number 10, Josh Jacobs. He's been quietly good the last couple weeks. Give me Josh Jacobs in my top 10. Now I'm outside looking in. I got Breece Hall, another rookie running back from the New York Jets. He's been money the last 4 weeks. He's actually pretty much phased out Michael Carter in that offense.
What? Michael Carter has a touchdown every week, dude. Come on.
He's pretty much talking nonsense. I mean, my guy's been way better. He's been much better than Michael Carter. Come on, David.
I mean, but Michael Carter's been getting a lot of he's been getting the goal line carries. So, he's been getting touchdowns. So, he's been pretty good.
Actually. But do you have Michael Carter? Do you have Michael Carter in your
No,
Are you thinking
I
about putting him in the
don't have
top
Brees
10?
Hall in my top 10 either.
Well, I mean, I'd rather put Brees Hall in my top 10 than Michael Carter.
Sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah. You know, he's the thing is with Brees Hall, he gives me something in the passing game that I love.
yeah, it's
That's
true.
what I like.
It's true, especially PPR formats.
Yeah, especially PPR. Joe Mixon, I'm outside looking at, and Ezekiel Elliott. I think Zeke could be a top 10 guy with Dak coming back. And then if you're looking for a cheap option in FanDuel, Latavius Murray for the Denver Broncos. Looks like Melvin Gordon's kind of in the doghouse right now. So I expect Latavius Murray to take some of those carries or take most of those
All
carries.
of them. I think
All of them.
Mike Boone hasn't been remotely good. I mean, Latavius Murray was their best running back on Monday by far. It wasn't
Yes,
close.
man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he's cheap at 6,000.
Yeah. Moving on from your running backs to my number one, I got Nick Chubb. I still think he's the engine that makes that Cleveland Browns offense. If they're going to get anything productive, it's going to be because of Nick Chubb. 2, Saquon Barkley. Yeah, he's probably been the best running back in football, but I like Nick Chubb a little bit more with the matchup. 3, Alvin Kamara. I just think he's going to be a focal point of that offense. 4, Joe Mixon. Yeah, his yards per attempt haven't been good, but at least they've been feeding him the rock. He's also been a little bit involved in the passing game, so Joe Mixon. 5, Austin Eckler. 6, Ramondre Stevenson. I am a little bit concerned that I think Damian Harris may come back in this game. But even before Damian Harris got hurt, Ramondre Stevenson was the better running back so far this season. So I look for Ramondre Stevenson to have a pretty good game here, especially against the Chicago Bears. 7, Derrick Henry. 8, Leonard Fournette. 9, David Montgomery. I think he will be the focal point of the offense. I think Khalil Herbert had his moment in the sunlight. David Montgomery should be healthy now. I think he's going to get a bulk of those touches. 10, Josh Jacobs. Yes, he's been awesome. He coming off that bye. The 2 weeks before that, he was amazing. So look for him to continue that kind of production. 1, on my outside looking in, I got Ezekiel Elliott, Aaron Jones. I still think he's going to be a focal point of that Packer attack. They're going to have to do something on that offense. It's going to have to be Aaron Jones and that running game and Aaron Rodgers doing what he can. And then, Kenneth Walker III, I have him on the outside looking. I do think he's going to have the bulk of the touches there in Seattle. I do think DJ Dallas will have some touches there for Seattle, but I don't think it'll be anything noteworthy, at least not for right now. And then my sneaky and dailies, Brian Robinson Jr., 5,500 going against your Green Bay Packers, who have basically been abysmal against the run. Brian Robinson is probably going to be the number 1 running back there for the Commanders, 5,500. And then Latavius Murray for the same reasons you talked about. That's the reason I got him in my thinking and daily, 5,200 in draft.
Absolutely. And Brian Robinson, definitely, man. I mean, he's definitely the main man. And I mean, if they, if you own
I straight up dropped Antonio Gibson in the league.
Man, if you own Brian Robinson, man, you actually got you a good one. And also, I'm going back to Michael Carter and Brees Hall, David. Michael Carter has Brees Hall has gotten double the amount of carries in the last 3 weeks than Michael Carter. Michael Carter has only 1-2 touchdown game. Other than that, he doesn't have any touchdowns. Brees Hall has a touchdown in every single game the last 3 weeks, and he has double the amount of carries. So he had to phase them out.
All right, fair enough.
You got to give me my props, bro.
You made a good call. You made a good call. Moving on from running backs, we're going to swing into the wide receivers. My number 1 wide receiver is Mike Evans. I don't think I've ever had Mike Evans as my number 1 wide receiver, but he's playing on a Tampa Bay team that's going to be angry that they lost. They let that game slip away against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going up against the Carolina Panthers team that isn't all that good. Mike Evans should have a massive game against the Carolina Panthers. Number 2 is CeeDee Lamb, the return of Dak Prescott against a terrible Detroit Lions defense. Look for him to have a pretty good production there. 3, Jamar Chase. 4, Deebo Samuel. 5, Tyreek Hill. 6, Mike Williams. 7, Christian Kirk. 8, Michael Pittman Jr. going up against a really bad secondary there in Tennessee. Number 9, Allen Lazard, actually. Number 9 is Allen Lazard. I think that Washington Commanders secondary can be had. If there is a place to beat the Washington Commanders, it's through the air. And Allen Lazard seems to have a good rapport with Aaron Rodgers. Give him at number 9. And then 10, Courtland Sutton. I don't know what to make of the Denver Broncos situation, but the Bears have a very young secondary. Courtland Sutton should have a good game going against the Courtland. Yeah, he should have a good game. Moving on, and then my outside looking in, I got Amari Cooper, DK Metcalf, and Devontae Adams, who's on the fringe of outside looking in there, pretty low for where I normally have Devontae Adams when these rankings come out. And then number 1, Michael Gallup, 5,100. Dak Prescott's back, going up against the bad defense in Detroit. Look for that rapport to be built back up between him and Michael Gallup. And Wan'Dale Robinson, 4,500, a guy I talked about at the beginning of the show, somebody you should pick up and maybe even start for your fantasy league. If you're a guy who owns Justin Jefferson, he's on a bye. If you're a team that owns, either A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, they're both on buys. You need somebody to step in and fill that gap. Wan'Dale Robinson could be an interesting pick. 4,500. for the Giants wide receiver because nobody else in the Giants wide receiving core is any good.
Nobody wants to step up and be the guy, so Wan'Dale Robinson has to.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Anyways, at number 1, I got Jamar Chase going up against Atlanta. At number 2, I got. He just showed me some crazy game-breaking ability against the Saints last week. I look for him to keep it going at home. At number 2, Tyreek Hill getting his quarterback back into a Tagovailoa. I think Tyreek Hill have a monster game in this matchup. I forget who they're going against. They're going against Pittsburgh, who's literally missing like half of their defensive roster. And number 3, Mike Evans. You are right. I like Mike Evans too. I mean, you can put him at number 1, number 2 or 3, but I think Mike Evans is a top 3 fantasy getter this week going up against Carolina. Horrible defense, like I said. And then number 4, CeeDee Lamb. He moves up in the rankings a little bit, getting a refresher here with Dak Prescott coming back. Look for CeeDee Lamb to do some big things. At number 5, Devontae Adams going up against that woeful Houston secondary. Look for Devontae Adams to take advantage of that secondary. And then number 6 got Deebo Samuel. Number 7, Michael Pittman Jr. Mike Ryan's going to throw the ball a lot in Tennessee, and Michael Pittman's going to catch the ball a lot for Indianapolis. And number 8, Jalen Waddle. He's another guy that can't wait for his starting quarterback to come back. Give me Jalen Waddle. And then number 9, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Hopefully he's back. I think he's back after they had that bye week. But he's going against Dallas secondary. Dallas is good. They're going to get home. He's going to get a lot of Trayvon Diggs. But are we going to see good Trayvon Diggs or bad Trayvon Diggs? I don't know. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is the only bright spot, pretty much. Him and DeAndre Swift are the only bright spots on that Detroit Lions offense, in my opinion. And then rounding out my top 10, DeAndre Hopkins. He's back, baby. He's back. Look for Kyler Murray to look for DeAndre Hopkins. Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown is out for the season. DeAndre Hopkins.
Actually, he's only going to be out for 6 weeks.
He's only going to be out for 6 weeks. Well, look for DeAndre Hopkins this week to do some big things. I mean, I expect him to get a high volume of targets this week. Golly, I can't even. Who are they playing again? They're playing against New Orleans. Yeah, against the New Orleans secondary that hasn't really been that good this year, in my opinion.
No, I mean they haven't been even close to as good as people thought they'd be.
As people thought they would be. So look for DeAndre Hopkins. He's happy to be back. He's refreshed. And on my side looking in, I got DK Metcalf, Mike Williams, and Christian Kirk. I've been a little disappointed with Mike Williams the last couple of weeks. I know Denver has a really good defense, but I just think Mike Williams should be having 100 yards every game.
He should be.
In my opinion.
I mean, he had a lot of targets, but he just
I'm starting to look like Mike Williams is starting to get that number 1 wide receiver type of coverage. So that's why his
as long as Keenan Allen remains out, that's the kind of coverage he's going to get.
That's the type of coverage he's going to get.
Those DeAndre Carter and Joshua Palmer, those guys don't really scare you.
They don't scare me at all. And then my third outside looking in is Christian Kirk. He's been playing really well this year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look for Christian Kirk to do some things this week in their matchup against the New York Giants. And then my cheapie and FanDuel is Robbie Anderson being traded to the Arizona Cardinals. He's cheap at $5,000, and a lot of people are like, well, he doesn't know the playbook. He don't need to know the playbook.
All he does is just run straight.
Just run straight. And you know who delivers a pretty deep ball and who wants to deliver a deep ball to Robbie Anderson? Kyler freaking Murray. And this is the guy, Robbie Anderson, can just take the top off the defense. I expect Robbie Anderson to have one long touchdown this week. 5,000, Robbie Anderson.
I like it. Moving on from your wide receivers to your tight ends. Go.
Tight ends. I don't think the top 3 kind of shocked anybody. Travis Kelce, or the top 2 at least. And TJ was right. He doesn't play fantasy, but he was right. It's Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, and everybody else. And that's how it starts my rankings. Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, 1 and 2. And then at number 3, I got Zach Ertz. Number 4, TJ Hawkinson. I expect TJ Hawkinson to do big things this week. He had that one. He's a couple weeks removed away from being the top fantasy, 2 weeks removed from being a top fantasy getter. Godly, who'd they play before the bye week, David? Godly, I can't remember now. Yeah, at number 5, I got
Seattle.
Oh, is it Seattle? Yeah, where you put up some crazy numbers against Seattle. Yeah,
Yeah.
Look for Mark Andrews to do his thing. Not Mark Andrews. T.J. Hawkinson to do his thing against Dallas. And then at number 5, I got George Kittle slowly kind of coming back into the offense a little bit. We saw a little bit more last week. We'll see a little bit more this week. I like George Kittle as a top 5 guy this week going up against KC, whose defense pretty much gives up a lot of yards. And then at number 6, David Njoku. Number 7, Gerald Everett, who's kind of been a little pedestrian the last couple weeks. I need Gerald Everett to he's got so much talent, man. I need Gerald Everett to be more involved in his offense. And number 8, Hayden Hurst for Cincinnati. Love that matchup for Hayden Hurst going up against Atlanta at home. And number 9, Mike Gesicki, who's quietly had a good year for Miami. I expect Mike Gesicki to continue having
I think this might be the first time ever where you're higher on Mike Gesicki than I am.
Oh, really? Well, you have him in the top 10. I have him at number 9.
It's true.
So, yeah. Mike Gesicki is definitely in my top 10. Going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who half their defense is missing. And then at number 10, Big Bob Tonyan, who had over 100 yards last week.
10 catches in PPR. And PPR, he was amazing.
Yeah, he was amazing. So look for Big Bob Tonyan to keep it going this week, going up against the Washington Commanders. And then I'm outside looking in the Rook, Daniel Bellinger, who's just been really solid for the New York Giants. He's had a pretty good fantasy output the last 3-4 weeks. Look for Daniel Bellinger to keep it going. He's definitely Daniel Jones' safety blanket. And then my other two I'm outside looking in, Kyle Pitts and Taysom Hill, who's just the Swiss Army knife. He's really not a tight end. They have him at tight end in fantasy, but he just does a little bit of everything on the football field. And then my sneaky and daily, Chico Kongwu from Tennessee. The last time that he played the Indianapolis Colts, Chico Kongwu had, I think, 3 or 4 catches and 2 touchdowns. So I expect Chico Kongwu at 4,600, real cheap. I expect him to have some type of the same package and score a touchdown this week against Indianapolis.
Moving on from your tight ends to mine. Number 1, number 2. No surprise whatsoever. Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews. And then number 3 is where things get interesting. I got David Njoku, actually, number 3 tight end. I think he's super involved in their passing offense right now. He just needs to be the safety valve for Jacoby Brissett. And then 4, Gerald Everett. I love the matchup against the Seattle Seahawks, a team that he used to play for. He probably knows a little bit about that defense. 5, Hayden Hurst, another guy who's going up against his former team in the Atlanta Falcons. 6, George Kittle. I agree with you. Yeah, he's kind of rounding more into form here. I mean, he's getting a little more involved in the offense. That injury, he's shaking off the rust from that injury. 7, Zach Ertz. I docked him just a little bit because I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to eat some of those Zach Ertz touches. Look for Zach Ertz to still be valuable, but not as valuable as he was like at the beginning of the season. 8, T.J. Hawkinson. 9, Darren Waller. There's a caveat here. Darren Waller is not currently practicing, so it's not totally sure if he's going to play in this game or not. But if he does, he's gonna be a top 10 tight end, I hope. 10, Mike Gesicki. Look for him to continue to gritty all over the place. If worst gritty ever, but let the man live.
The NFL shouldn't let him gritty, David.
Let the man live. And then my outside looking in, I got Taysom Hill, Kyle Pitts, and Big Bob Tonyan. Robert Tonyan, 10 touches for 110 yards last week. That's money production out of the tight end position. And Aaron Rodgers clearly has a rapport for him. He's clearly looking for him. He clearly trusts him more than any of the other wide receivers on the team. So, yeah, Robert Tonyan has some good value there. And then my sneaky and daily is 2 tight ends going against each other. It's Evan Ingram at 3,300 going against his former team in the New York Giants there for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Daniel Bellinger, as you mentioned, 3,400 has been really solid for the New York Giants. It's kind of stabilized that tight end position for this team. He's been 3,400 is really good value as well. So,
yeah, I didn't expect Daniel Bell out of the rookie tight ends. You got the kid from Arizona. Is it golly? His name's mistaken me. That
is absolutely not coming to me right now.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
The kid from Colorado State.
Colorado State. Yeah, he won the Mackey Award. He hasn't really been playing well for Arizona, and rightfully so. I think them drafting him, has elevated Zach Ertz play this year. So Daniel Bellinger has he's been the best rookie tight end so far this year. Even though Jelani Woods, I think, has the leading touchdown catches. If I'm not mistaken, I think Jelani Woods has 4 touchdown catches to Daniel Bellinger's 2 or 3.
Trey McBride is the
Trey
guy's
McBride.
name.
That's his name. Trey McBride.
There you go. Wanted you to make sure you got over that.
Yeah, I know, right? It's gonna kill me all night.
I know, right? I got you. Moving on from tight ends, let's swing into the defensive side of the ball, and we both have the same number one defense. I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as number one. They're going up against PJ Walker. It's going to be the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, look for Tampa Bay to have a field day against that PJ Walker-led offense. 2, the Cowboys. I just think Detroit's prone to make some mistakes, and Trayvon Diggs is going to jump some routes. 3, Green Bay. Taylor Heineke is just not that good. It just isn't. I know he gave him Tom Brady his best challenge in that playoff game a few years ago, but he was not good last season. Look for Green Bay to maybe get some of that no-flight zone.
One game, not one game. No, I'm just playing.
4, the Ravens. 5, New Orleans Saints. I just believe in the talent of New Orleans. I think they'll be okay going against Kyler Murray. You know that DeAndre Hopkins is returning from that game. Then they got the Cincinnati Bengals. I got the Broncos, and then I got the Jets. Actually, is my number 3 offense, defense outside looking in. Call it what it is, man. Denver has been atrocious on offense. Every team they played has put up good fantasy value this season. I think the Jets have some decent weapons there. I mean, on the defensive side of the ball, they can get pressure on the quarterback. They can defend man-to-man across the board, and Sauce Gardner is probably going to be the defensive rookie of the year when it's all said and done. And my sneaky and daily is that same Jets team at 2,600.
Expect, and I like that Jets pick for your DraftKings pick and on the outside looking in. Expect that game between the Jets and the Broncos to be a field goal fest. Like, seriously, because the Broncos offense has been atrocious, but their defense has been keeping them in games, like literally legit keeping them in football games. So, and then the Jets have been, like you said, Sauce Gardner, he's playing like a 3-4 year veteran out there. Honestly, he's really good. And everything's kind of coming into form. They play really hard for Robert Saleh. And then my number 1, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are gonna have a field day versus the Carolina Panthers. Everything that David said. At number 2, we got the New England Patriots going up against the Chicago Bears. I don't know why David does. I don't know why you don't got them in the top 5. Are you being a little biased there?
Who?
You.
Who are the top 5?
The New England Patriots.
I am being a little biased there.
Sure. I know you are, because there's no way in hell that the kid could make your top 8 on defense because they're going against the Bears. He couldn't do it. It's all good. I'll do it for you. And then at number 3, I got the Denver Broncos going up against the New York Jets. If the Denver Broncos can at least put some type of offense together and make Zach Wilson work, then I think they can be a top 5 defense this week. I mean, they're always keeping their team in ball games, but I think this could be a week that the Denver Broncos have a top 5 week. And then at number 4, I got the Dallas Cowboys going up against, was it the Detroit Lions? If I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Going up against the Detroit Lions. I just think the Dallas Cowboys are good to get one and take one back to the house. That's legit. Like, my thing, I think they could take one back to the house, and I think they can get a special team touchdown this week.
I agree with you on that. I think
Robert Turpin is going to be big time this week. I think he'll get a touchdown on the kick return or a punt return. And then my number 5, the Green Bay Packers. If you can't do nothing against Taylor Heineke and the Washington Commanders, I don't know what the hell to say to you. I might throw a double bag on my face on Monday. And then my outside looking in, I got the New Orleans Saints, man, going up against the Arizona Cardinals, who, I mean, looked atrocious last week against Seattle. So why wouldn't they look, any better against the Saints? But you know what? I could be wrong there because DeAndre Hopkins coming back.
I am worried about the DeAndre Hopkins return now that they have that ranking. Now that I put the ranking together, I thought about it a little bit more, but whatever.
Yeah. I know that. So I got them on my outside looking in because they could be a tweener. And then I got the Ravens and the Bengals rounding out my outside looking in. And then my sneaky and fan duel is the Cincinnati Bengals at 3,600. Expect them to get a lead on Atlanta, even though as good as Atlanta has kind of played very tough. Detroit Lion-esque from 2021-esque. But I think on the road, I think Atlanta Falcons have their odds stacked against them, especially going against Cincinnati Bengals team.
Agree with you 100% there. And before we get out of here, as we wrap up every single show, number 1 scorer in fantasy, who do you think it'll be this week? Last week, Joe Burrow was the number 1 scorer in fantasy at 32.5 fantasy points last week. He had 1 touchdown on the ground, and he threw three more, 300 yards passing. He had 32.5 points in fantasy last week. Who do you think will be the number one scorer in fantasy this week?
Oh, man. I am. See, let me be a running back or give me Austin Eckler. Give me Austin Eckler against Seattle. I think Austin Eckler is good for like 2 touchdowns in the air, and two touchdowns catching the football, 2 touchdowns on the ground. For some reason, I don't know.
He's gonna have 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have 4 touchdowns. You know what? If he has 4 touchdowns and he actually does have 4 touchdowns, man, dude, like. Call me, come on, dude.
Call you Nostrafari or whatever they call it. I'm gonna go Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is gonna have a big game against the Carolina Panthers. I also expect the Tampa Bay to be on the offensive side of the football a lot. Mike Evans should have a big game there. Mike Evans is my pick for the number one scorer in fantasy this week.
200 plus scrimmage yards. 3 to 4 touchdowns for Austin Eckler this week.
Mike Evans is going to have 3 touchdowns, 150 yards receiving. So, but yeah, this has been the Fantasy Football Weekly Show. Thank you very much for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, and go check out that YouTube channel as well. As we try to build up that YouTube channel, please like, share, and subscribe over there. And stay tuned here in about 10 minutes. We're going to be starting our NBA show, the crossover with me and TJ Hopkins, as we make our predictions for all the major awards in the NBA, including the Larry O'Brien Trophy. You want to miss that content? I've been David Huppin, right there as the CEO of Prime Sports One, Mr. Israel Rivera. And Izzy, what we do here at the Prime, my friend?
We bring the heat, ladies and gentlemen. Bring the heat.
Yes, sir. And we will see you guys here in about 10 minutes. I will see you guys all later. Take it easy, brother.